Hi Rockers, Joe here. Today I'm going to be making a homemade ravioli using beef, a little bit of parsley, egg, and Parmesan cheese. This recipe is pretty simple. It's a little time consuming, but for the most part, it's totally worth it. In a previous video, I've showed you how to make the pasta dough, so just refer back to that video for making the pasta dough. I'm just going to start with the process of making the ravioli. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. This recipe will make about 25 to 30 raviolis, more or less depending on how big you make your raviolis. I'm going to start the sauce first so it has plenty of time to cook and let the flavors infuse. I'm just adding butter to a pot with a half of an onion, bay leaves, and some garlic cloves. We'll let those cook for 1 moment before adding our tomato sauce. We'll stir that around. Add a few pinches of salt. What's great about this is the salt doesn't need to be measured. Just add a little bit and then taste it, add a little bit more until you have your perfect amount of salt. We're going to do about a tablespoon of oregano and about a 1/4 tablespoon of dried basil. You can also use fresh basil, fresh thyme, fresh oregano, but for this I'm just using the dried versions. Just going to add a little bit of olive oil over top, add some flavor to it, and then a dash of sugar. This is at your discretion. You can add a little bit more sugar if you like a sweeter sauce. You can add chili flakes if you like a spicy sauce. So just experiment and try what you like. We're going to cover that and just let that simmer, lower the heat. In another pan, we'll add some onions. The rest of that onion, I cut the half of it for the sauce. This half onion I just diced. I'm gonna let that cook in a little olive oil. Some chopped garlic as well. A little bit more olive oil over top. You can be liberal. At this point, we're adding our ground meat. I'm just using ground beef. You can do different mixtures. Some people like ground pork, ground beef, or a mixture of the two. So at this point, we're just gonna brown that. Check your salt level. You wanna add a little salt to this. And in the meantime, once that's brown, we're just going to set aside in a baking dish or a bowl just to let it cool. You definitely always want to use cooled stuffing for your ravioli and not hot stuffing. It's hard to handle and just troublesome. So at this point, our sauce has been cooking for about 20-30 minutes or so, and I'm going to remove the bay leaves. And we're just going to blend those onions and garlic, now that they're soft, into the sauce. If you don't have one of these, you can just use a blender. If you don't have one of those, you can use a food processor. And if you don't have that, don't worry about it. Just remove the onion and garlic, or you can leave it in to the end and just let that cook and really infuse. But I've done it all types of ways. It totally works. So we have our pasta dough. The pasta dough I've already made. As I said at the beginning, there's a video I've already done for this. So just refer to the pasta dough making video. So the first technique is using a rolling pin. I'm not going to use a pasta maker to roll out the pasta. We've just thrown some flour on the table and flour over top of the pasta dough. We're just gonna roll it. This technique I'm doing, you just roll the pasta right on top. You kind of roll it up and then roll it out. It really helps to thin out the pasta fast. What we're looking for as far as thickness is a transparent pasta. It should be pretty thin. At this point, it's not transparent at all. You'll see how this ends up stretching out. And one thing to note, be very liberal in your flour use. Don't think it's a problem to add more flour when you need it. You definitely don't want this sticking to the table or to your rolling pin. It causes a lot of problems. So you can see doing the technique where I roll it up in the rolling pin and then roll it out, we're getting a really thin pasta. We're working on getting it thinner. You can almost see through it, but we're just going to continue to roll it out. So it's just about there. We're just going to thin it out a little bit more. And now we'll use a pizza cutter or a pastry cutter, whatever you have, just to kind of cut the edges off and make it uniform. So we have 2 sheets. Now we have our ground beef that's room temperature at this point. We're going to add some parsley to it, Parmesan cheese. You can taste at this point. If you want to add a little salt, you can. A little red pepper, you can. I'm going to crack 1 egg, mix that egg in a corner, and then we'll mix this all together at this point. This is at the point where you don't want to try it anymore because we have that raw egg in there, but the raw egg creates more of a paste and it helps the ravioli stay together when you cook it, and just forming these raviolis at this point. So I'm adding 1 more egg. I ended up using 2 eggs. So we have a nice paste here. Meat, parsley. I added more flour to my table. And we're just going to add little portions of ground beef. Take some water. You can also use egg wash. Egg wash is more sticky, but I'm just using water with fresh pasta. Typically you can use water and be totally fine. We're just gonna roll this over, be very gentle. And you wanna go at the sides first. So sides. Really push those out. We're trying to get any air pockets or air bubbles out. Sides, and then bring the front down. Really simple process. Then we're just gonna fine tune these, make sure they're closed. Definitely making sure they're closed is very important, because when you go to boil, you'll lose your filling. So we'll just set that aside. I'm using parchment paper. Now I'm going to show you the easy method, which is using a pasta maker. It reduces a lot of time. We're just gonna add our dough, 1 of those portions I cut, so about 1/3 of the pasta dough. You'll roll it out, and just roll it over itself. The pasta maker has different gauges on it. On mine, I'm going to setting 7, but we're just gonna work down from the biggest setting to the lowest setting. So there we have it, setting 7. You're gonna cut off the ends, a little flour, and then we'll just flip it over. Add your ground beef. And now your water to the edges. This is a really fun family process, or the kids. Everybody enjoys making homemade pasta and homemade ravioli. There's definitely other methods to making ravioli as well. This is just one that's simple and easy. There's different molds you can use. You could do really big raviolis where you do 2 sheets. So once you have your ground beef on the sheet, you can just lay another sheet right over top. So several different methods, and then endless different fillings you can use. So we have them sitting on parchment paper. You can see the ones I rolled out are a little thinner. With the ones I use the pasta machine with are a little thinner, I should say, and the ones I rolled out with hand are a little bit thicker. So we have boiling water, and we're gonna add our raviolis. It's a really simple process. Boiling water, 3 minutes once the water begins to boil again. I didn't add that many, so it didn't stop boiling, so just 3 minutes. We're gonna add to a plate, and we'll top with our sauce that's been cooking for quite some time. Top with some Parmesan cheese. And there you have it, you're all done. You have some homemade ravioli, nice decent stuffing, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.